Thanks for that, Noah. Well, disagreement over Israeli attacks in Lebanon is putting the fragile ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran in jeopardy. Talks for a more negotiated deal are still set for this weekend in Pakistan, with Vice President J.D. Vance and Senior Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner expected to attend. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
Crews sifted through the rubble in Beirut Thursday following Israeli airstrikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon.
It's a very emotional morning, actually. I was raised in this neighborhood.
The Israeli strikes on Iran's proxy in Lebanon have led to a serious crack in the fragile two-week ceasefire deal announced Tuesday. Iran, as well as Pakistan, which helped broker the deal, insisted it included Lebanon. Israel and the White House disagree.
I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise.
In response, Iran is restricting the passage of oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz.
They have said that they're going to start letting many more ships through. We'll watch as the day progresses whether that's true or not.
President Trump said all U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel will remain in place in and around Iran during the ongoing ceasefire and negotiations.
Oil prices are back up amid concern the ceasefire may not hold.
Every dollar that a person has to spend additionally at the gas pump is a dollar less in the communities that they support.
Tony Stafford, the owner of Ford's Fish Shack in Virginia, says the rising fuel prices are starting to impact small businesses like his.
This couldn't have come at a worse time with spring break and people planning trips.
The national average for gas is $4.17 a gallon. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
Well, Mark Zondi, chief economist at financial research firm Moody's Analytics, tells CBS News that he doesn't think gas prices will go below $3 for a while, saying prices go up like a rocket and they come down like a feather. Speaking of rockets, the Artemis 2 astronauts are now a week into their 9.5-day mission and are heading home to Earth. On tap for the crew, a manual piloting experiment while the astronauts physically steer and maneuver the spaceship. Scientists say that these tasks are all part of a bigger mission to prepare future crews for long-term space travel and an eventual base on the moon.
Now, going back to the moon is really a next step in human exploration of our solar system. It's so important for us to be able to have that personal experience as well as to learn the skills that will allow us as a country, as a species, to live and work in space on a permanent basis. This is leading up to an Antarctic-style station on the moon.
NASA released new images of the astronauts early on Wednesday, bonding during their mission. These pictures are awesome. The Orion spacecraft is scheduled to splash down on Friday evening in the Pacific Coast, off the coast of San Diego.
A good education is the key that opens the door to a lifetime of opportunity.
That was Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders in her annual State of the State address at the Arkansas State Capitol. She talked about the work that her administration has done to improve education over the past few years since she signed the Arkansas Learns Act into law. She mentioned reading levels have risen in almost every grade. And this year's fiscal session is now underway, with lawmakers taking up Sanders' $6.7 billion budget. We're learning more about the debate over the expansion of the state's school voucher program. The Education Freedom Account program, created under the Learns Act, would receive more than $300 million under the proposed budget. The program allows families to use public money for private school or homeschool expenses. But the president of the Arkansas Education Association says public schools, which educate about 90% of students, are feeling the impact.
You can't underfund something and expect it to succeed. You need to make sure that our public dollars go to where they're needed the most. And the most are all vulnerable students that will certainly grow up to be productive citizens if they are educated correctly.
The group is encouraging lawmakers to put guardrails in place for the funding in the program. A murder suspect Casey Jennings is now facing new charges after court documents say that he hit a Washington County deputy, giving them a concussion. That alleged incident happened last month in the Washington County Jail, where Jennings is being held without bond. He's already charged with first-degree murder in the killing of his ex-girlfriend, Allison Castro, in 2022. Jennings is set to face a jury trial for the crime in June, and the death penalty is still on the table. Artemis police say federal charges are likely coming for Danny Eatman, the man accused of setting multiple fires and harboring devices at his mother's home on Tuesday that could be explosive. Authorities say the devices discovered inside the home were designed to ignite rather than explode. Eatman is facing multiple charges, including arson and charges related to the use of those devices, with more charges expected as the investigation continues. The Oklahoma State Fire Marshal investigator described the devices as, quote, black tackle box-like with everyday items inside. Authorities are also revealing they believe Eatman may have had more targets, including in Artemis and Fort Smith.
And we're just learning some about a target over in Fort Smith, and another one that happened about 2 months ago here in Artemis. And so we don't have proof of that at this point. This is preliminary investigation, but it will be the second suspect.
Eatman is being held at the LaFleur County Detention Center. Artemis police say that he could face federal charges, and they're saying enhanced charges because the house is so close to the high school. Well, across Arkansas, families say their SNAP benefits are being stolen, and many report that the system offers little help to recover them. Brittany Young of Fort Smith found her entire SNAP allotment spent 1,500 miles away in Pennsylvania. She filed a police report, but Arkansas SNAP told her that her stolen benefits cannot be replaced. Young relies on SNAP to care for her autistic son, buying essentials like special diets and distilled water. Mary Franklin with Arkansas DHS says stolen benefits are a risk and current security options are limited.
I would recommend that you check our website. You can report that it happened. Not that we have a way to replace the benefits, but if that ever were to happen again where we could replace benefits, this would be a place for us to start and look at who this had happened to.
DHS says new EBT system upgrades this summer could help prevent theft and allow replacements in the future. But so far, Arkansas does not replace stolen benefits. Well, today, NWA Gives will hold its annual donation event, supporting over 130 nonprofits and their missions around Northwest Arkansas. Giving is also open now on their website, NWA Gives, which first started back in 2018. They say the money raised will help provide resources for food security, education, and local outreach. And happening today, RDOT will host a public meeting to get input on a proposed connector in Northwest Arkansas. It would be west of Highway 112 in Benton and Washington counties. Today's meeting starts at 4:30 at the First Baptist Church in Hiwassee. RDOT says that they're looking for input on important resources, possible alternative routes, and more. You can also submit online comments through April 24th.